welcome to the Two Dudes Talk Music YouTube channel. I am the Reverend Raff.
We did it, we made it.
Because when a band's name starts being everywhere, it can be very easy to go like, okay, like.
Just because I know what it's like to feel left out and to feel like people are weird or mean to you, and so I never want to be that person, and I want...
This here is my good friend Kyle, aka the BeerBuddy.
Big opportunity. You guys must be stoked you're on the first day too, because you can just sort of shoot. Yeah, you can just relax.
Brian was sitting down with his longtime friend and his former bandmate Meegs from Cold Chamber, and they were having coffee, and Brian was...
When those questions go, those hearty chuckles.
You know what that laughter says to me is like, people don't even know what's coming. People are just going to be minds are going to be blown by that.
No, it will be a fucking banger.
How you doing, everybody? I am the Reverend Raff, joined once again by my good friend Kyle, aka the BeerBuddy.
Yeah, how you going, everybody? Or Amish buddy?
Amish buddy at the moment. We are the Two Dudes Who Talk Music, and we are back today with another podcast episode for you guys. This is one we've been trying to tee up for a little while. There's been some ups and downs trying to schedule everything, and just schedules have been all over the place, but we finally got them on. We're going to be talking to THRAXAS, because it's got an exclamation point, and you have to say it properly.
THRAXAS.
You have to say it properly. THRAXAS!
Dude.
But we'll be getting to them in a minute. My brother. Salam alaikum. No, I'm sorry.
I'm sore.
How are you?
Sore,
You sore?
I'm sore, but I'm good. I'm
Right.
healing.
You're healing. The surgery all went well. They're confident with everything.
Went well. They're confident with everything. So it'll just be get over this over the next 4 weeks, and then get into some physio, and then I'll be back, baby.
Cool. All right.
Back at your local shows real quick.
4 weeks will be plenty of time to grow that moustache back.
Yeah, I need it back. I hate it. It was that, or it was the.
If you
the
have
length
look,
that
it's that or the beard. You got to make a
had
choice.
to get made, and I had to make an executive decision.
You got to make a choice.
Looking at myself now, I haven't looked at myself in the mirror in a week.
Nah, man. Look, honestly, I'm stoked to hear that it went well. Because like we said, next stuff's nothing to joke about, and I'm glad you're able to get it all sorted, and hopefully, you can get back into the game and get back out there, be out at shows, talking to people, doing all sorts of cool shit.
How you going?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty fucking good. At the time of recording for this episode, for those who may not be aware, at the time of recording, it is 24 hours till I get to see Drowning Pool and Alien Ant Farm. And I'm really sorry to bring that up to you, mate, because I know you're not getting to go now.
That's all right. It is what it is.
But if at the time of release of this episode, if you haven't seen it on the channel already, there will probably be a video recapping the show. So go and check that one out. I'll try and get a bunch of footage from it. I'll talk about my experience at the show, maybe try and get some brief interviews or some comments from some other people, some other punters that are out there. I've actually realized that Frankenbach is opening for the whole tour as well, which is fucking sick. I didn't realize those dudes were on it. So I'm really, really keen to see them again. As always, they're always amazing, absolutely awesome. But yeah, so look, I'm just keen, man, to finally be able to get to see Drowning Pool live, to get to see Alien Ant Farm, and just get some stuff. And it's getting real fucking close to AEW Grand Slam Brisbane, which I'm hyped for. Again, by the time this episode comes out, that event will have been and gone. But not doing any reviews for that because it's not music, and we don't cover music on this channel. Unless you want me to start the Two Dudes Talk Wrestling channel, in which case let us know in the comments, and I will try and make it happen. I don't know it's fucking where I'll find the time, but I'll fucking see what I can do. But no, it's I'm just excited. It's good, and then of course, coming up very, very soon is NotFest.
Yeah.
So that'll be a couple of weeks away at the time of release of this one. So, or a week and a bit. That'll be about a week and a bit away. So we will have some coverage on that. I'll again try and film a bunch of stuff out there. I'm going with a good old gaggle of mates, so that'll be fun.
Oh, good.
And I'll try and get some footage of that sort of all the bands.
Make sure you have a
and
good time.
Put a review of the day and everything. That'll be fun. That'll be really, really fun to do. So yeah, it's a busy fucking time. I'm not gonna lie. very, very busy time for me working on music with the bands and stuff. Got a new guitar. Got that Matt Heafy Origins Epiphone Origins 7-string.
Oh yeah, I remember.
That's
yeah.
it's pretty good. Looks nice. The black with the gold finish on everything is just fucking crisp. It's pristine.
Yeah.
I love it. It's really, really nice. So
It sound amazing too.
gotta try and gotta dial that in. Gotta dial that in with some patches on the old amp sims and see what I can land on.
Just go
see
on
what
the,
I can use that for.
Go on his live stream and ask him. Just tell him you just got one.
Yeah,
And ask him, ask him what's the best plugins.
Excuse me, Mr. Heafy, what plugin do you use?
Yeah, just got your new signature. Help me. He'll help ya.
Help me sound like you, please.
And then get him on for an interview.
Yeah, because that'll be just fucking I'll just spam his fucking live stream chat. Like I'll make 50
That's what
accounts.
we gotta start doing.
I'll make
That's what we gotta
50
start doing.
fucking Twitch accounts, and we'll go on the thing. We'll be like, you should go on the Two Dudes Talk Music podcast. And then
Yeah, I'm gonna do
Two
that.
Dudes Talk Music, they're rad. You should go on their podcast.
I'm gonna ask T-Pain.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask T-Pain.
T-Pain. Oh my man. Hey, look, if this somehow comes across Matt Heafy or T-Pain's
With
screens,
Matt,
open invitation anytime you like, even if we have to be up at like fucking fuck off o'clock in the morning to make it happen, we will make it happen.
We'll do it.
But yeah, so that's what we're doing, keeping busy as usual. If you see me out at anything across the next little while, please don't hesitate to come up and say hi. We love chatting with you guys. But yes, we're going to dive into it right now. We're getting to the main bulk of everything today. We're going to be diving in with THRAXAS, talking all about WHISPERFEST and getting out there for regional shows and the new album that they got coming out, because it turns out they got an absolute cracker album that's going to be coming out real, real soon. So you're going to want to hear all about that right now. Thank you very, very much for joining us today, everybody. As mentioned in the intro, we are here with THRAXAS, because it's got an exclamation point and you have to say it with intensity. That's how that works, right? It's like a Tribe Called Quest. You got to say the whole thing. It's like you got to make sure you include the exclamation point every time you say
Top of the
THRAXAS.
muffin to you.
Hell yeah, baby. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Otherwise, it's just relax.
Now, I tell you what, the first time I saw that fucking tattoo was a long fucking time ago.
Really?
A long, long time ago.
Yeah, like
So,
it's bordering like 10 years ago or something like that, yeah?
Well, yeah, maybe even a bit longer, maybe thereabouts, because I first saw THRAXAS with a very, very different lineup,
Yes.
all the way out at fucking Windsor.
Yeah, Hawkesbury Hotel.
That'd be the
Yes.
one where most of the band was not even 18 yet, I believe.
No, I think I was like 16 or 15 at that point, something like that. Yes.
So, yeah, that'd be when I first saw you guys, and probably met some of you as well. But it was quite a long time ago.
Yes.
And the band has gone through many changes since
So,
then.
pretty much, like, long story is we had a lineup back then. It kind of all faltered through. Basically, the original singer, he put me onto Isaac. And so we were kind of reforming and getting all new members again. And long story short, we basically met up with Isaac, and then the original singer left, and it was just me and Isaac. And then I pretty much went the Dave Mustaine route of where I was like, fuck it. I'm sick of finding singers. Like, you know, obviously singers, they're in their own parallel, but I kind of got sick of people, like, and it's no offense to them, but I would get very sick of people who would just come to practice, and like a lot of them wouldn't actually know instruments or how to play or anything like that. So they would kind of just sit on an amp for like 4 hours of practice, and then, like, you know, you have all the rhythm section, nutting out sections, or like, you know, you would bounce riffs off each other, play it to the drummer, and the bassist would chime in. You'd have a singer who would just kind of sit there and be like, you know, why am I kind of here? Like, I don't even, like, nothing's been set in stone. I don't have anything to write lyrics to. So I kind of went, fuck it. I go, I'll just sing. And then Isaac being kind of the longest member, we basically just found a whole new lineup. We went through a couple of guitarists at that point, and then we got to Alex, who's been our mainstay at the moment, and we're forever grateful for Alex. She guides us in a very fucking awesome way. Unbelievably talented. We worked through everything, and then we've played a show with Cosmic Art. and that was when we met Dan. Cosmic Art, the first show we played with them, Dan, it turns out they were actually disbanding. So then Dan hit us up, and our bassist back then, that was his last show. So then we talked to Dan, and Dan's like, man, if you want, I'll jump in. So then Dan's jumped in, and it's been the most solid lineup for the last 5 years. And to be honest, I wouldn't change it for anything. I don't believe in fate, but I think things come together for a reason, and I believe that was the reason, because it's been solid. We're all very good mates. You know, we work through everything together as a team, and I'm forever grateful for it.
I mean, look, I don't necessarily believe in fate either, but you're playing a show where your bass player is leaving with another band whose bass player is leaving.
Yeah,
it's just
it
just seems like that's kind of, you know, almost in a way it feels like it's meant to be. You know, a very happy accident.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, even finding Alex, you know, like and even Isaac, like Alex, we went for a lot of guitarists, and we were like kind of really unhappy with them. And then we seen Alex's skill and level, and you know, we took the chance, because like I find in the industry, a lot of people get really weirded out with, like, you know, when it's different genders and stuff. And like, you know, for me, I was like, you know, a lot of people are like, wow, you have a female guitarist, right? And my biggest thing is I don't care what color, nationality, creed, whatever you are, gender, right? Like, as long as you play and you gel with everyone else, you're in. Right? To us, it's a camaraderie, and for that, like, it doesn't matter who you are or who you might be. Everything works well together. We're always happy to have, you know, someone fill in, and she's proved to be like unbelievably talented, super driven. So, you know, it's worked out. I'd never change it for anything else. Like, and
yeah, I have not had a chance to see the current lineup of the band perform yet. But I have heard a lot of very, very good things about, you know, how the band as a whole. And like, Alex, I have to say, your name has come up. It's like a lot of people have mentioned to me, you know, the kind of level of skill that you're bringing to the table. So hopefully you guys can get up to Brisbane sometime soon, and I can get a chance to actually see what the current version of the band is like. Because I remember, like I say, was it Julian was the original?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember
singer.
Julian.
He was the original singer. Yes.
Yeah. I remember that dude, and yeah, like seeing you guys out of Windsor and a bunch of shows around that kind of, you know, 2014 kind of, you know, 2015 kind of period, and yeah, like, I mean, I was a fan from then, you know, like I was a fan back then of what you guys were doing, and I could see that there was, you know, if rough around the edges. I could see that there was a lot there. Like, there was absolutely this, the idea of the band and the core of what you guys were trying to do. I was like, there's absolutely something there. And I can tell that at least some of the people in the band were like the people to have the kind of stick-to-itiveness, if you will. The people to be like, I'm fucking, whether it was in THRAXAS or something else, just going to power on and continue doing something in music. And I'm glad that it's persisted, and that you guys have kind of carried on and brought, you know, revived with the new lineup and everything, and continuing it on, you know, like, it makes me really happy that see bands going for that sort of time frame too, you know.
Well, that was kind of the beauty of it. Oh, sorry, it was like back then.
Yeah.
It was like a disheveled ship, and now all of us together, I feel like we're like a precision laser. We're kind of very much so guided even more now, because I feel our chemistry clicks even harder. And like the stuff we write, I believe, of course, with time, you only kind of get better. And like, you obviously, old material might not stack up to what you do now, and it's kind of superfluous saying it, but like our stuff now, like compared to the last stuff we've done and compared to what we did 10 years ago, I absolutely love it. I'm in love with it, and I only can't wait to see what we do again on the next one.
Yeah, Dan, you were going to say something?
So as the newest member of the band, I remember like talking to Bull, and I was with Cosmic Art, and we were putting on a show, which is, don't search us up, but we were a band apparently. But yeah, I remember saying to Bull, like, I'll watch you guys, right, and you watch me, and we'll see how we go and everything. And when I watched THRAXAS, it was like, you know, like it was sort of like these guys have got something, you know, like it's right there. There was smiling, there was engagement, there was talent, right? And there was this enthusiasm that I couldn't like turn away from, and this was with the other guys here that you see, Alex, Paul, and Isaac. And I was intrigued, man. I was like, I fucking please message me after this fucking show, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So super happy to be moving forward with practice.
And that was 5 years ago, Dan. So like you say, you're the
I
newest.
think it's been longer than that. I think it's been
so-
like 6 or 7 years now.
Yeah, he says he's the newest member, but he's been around like 6-7 years. So
It's like saying Rob's the newest member of Metallica, but he's been there 20 fucking years.
exactly. Like
these guys are older than me. Like actually, so, yeah.
The last piece of the puzzle you were, Dan.
yes, essentially, yes.
That's killer though.
really
Like,
wonderful, man.
I'm stoked that you know that the passion's continued and you're able to continue to bring that that energy forward into stuff. Now, there's a couple of releases out online from you guys that you put out. Like, I'm looking at the Spotify. I'm seeing the single from 2019, Cthulhu Rising, and then obviously a little album or EP, whatever it is, there from 2021, Planetary Terrorism. YouTube, please don't flag us for that word. But it's got you know,
we have to do it. We have to do it.
but yeah, like I mean, it's like it's like no fat, good old fashioned like thrash energy. You know, like that's like I love that about it. It's like it's just there's nothing wasted. There's nothing like there's no faffing about with unnecessary stuff. Like you get in there, it's fucking start to finish. It goes hard. It gets the job done, and then it fucks off. And like I love a song that just knows what it's there to do and gets the job done. You know, and I think that speaks to you know, people who have spent quite a long time refining the material and just sort of like knowing what they want to put out there, you know? And like Bull, you know, obviously, you know, you've been like THRAXAS has been a thing for you for so long now. You've obviously got a very clear vision of where you want to go with it, what you want the band to be musically. And yeah, like is there obviously though, like that last release was 2021. Unless I'm missing something. So, like, is there stuff in the works? Is there, like, things planned to come out?
So, I'll let Alex take this one.
Yeah, so Isaac broke his fucked his shoulder for what, 2 years? Yeah, so I'll blame Isaac. I'll blame Isaac for that.
We had COVID too, so it's perfect timing. Don't blame me.
Yeah.
So we had a bit of like a hiatus almost. Then we came back, we started writing, and we've got Violent Vacation coming out April 11th this year. So we've actually got an announcement tomorrow at 10 a.m. I'm not telling you what it is. Oh, I probably can because this comes out on the weekend.
Yeah, this will be after. This will come out after the announcement.
Yeah, so we've got our album artwork launching tomorrow, which is mad, and the first 2 dates of the tour. So you mentioned you're asking if we're coming to Brisbane. We will be in June.
Hell yeah! Right around my birthday. Nice.
Yeah, so it's an 11-track monster. It's thrashy, it's groovy, it's progressive. I think it's like Bull was saying, where we progress, you know, over the years. I think this is the best thing we've done, and I'm really excited to release it.
I think it's mainly as well, we're not aiming to release a certain sound or a certain genre or fall into a gap or fall into a... We're just we all bring different like spices of our metal, like what we like, and it's sort of, I think it's perfectly meshed into what we have. It's not exactly thrash, it's not progressive, it's not death metal, it's like its own little sort of baby, and it's just our own individual taste just coming in. So I think this album is sort of like where we've let it go we've just wrote what comes and what flows and what feels good. So I think this is sort of more going to define what THRAXAS are than our previous things that we brought out.
That's
So
exciting.
yeah, that's my
Nice.
Yeah, it's definitely like Isaac's saying. I feel like we bring way different sections to it. Like, I'm not exactly the biggest progressive fan, but like Alex and Dan bring very progressive things to it, and the way it meshes with like a groovy side and the thrash side kind of works together. Because like I get when you you need to label things to kind of get a clear vision of what you're getting. But I kind of have always thought that like we're in the realms of bringing old school and new school, but like I hate the term. Hate being pigeonholed into a certain genre. I like keeping it free reign, and that's definitely what I've said to everyone as well. I'm like, no idea is kind of off the table. No idea is too ludicrous. Like, so don't ever feel like, like we have really progressive partners. God, we have what are some of the time signatures on our new album? They're like time
11/8.
signatures. Yeah, like time signatures I haven't even thought were possible, but somehow we meshed them together and play them and it works together, right? And then you go into a 4/4 thrashy bit and then it has groove and it has a lot of progressive side to it, but it really meshes together and I feel our chemistry helps bring that together in like a really cohesive way. And it's sort of, I don't know, it's really weird. Like if I could have seen myself 10 years ago and seen what we're doing now, I would have never been able to grasp what we're doing yet or like even acknowledge it. But I'm very happy I'm very happy. There's no other lineup I would rather do this with because we come in and it's hard sometimes getting everyone to mesh on the same level. But when we do, I feel like we're on fire.
Look, I get what you're saying though about like, you're not necessarily like the biggest fan of prog metal, right? Like that's fine. I get that. I like some of it, but not a lot of it. But what I'd love to do is I look at that like cooking, like you're making music. It's like cooking, bringing different ingredients together. Like I'm not a big fan of tomatoes, right? Like if I get a sandwich and there's tomato on there, I'm like, fuck, you've contaminated the whole thing, right? Fuck that off.
Yeah.
But you put them in a spag bowl.
Yeah, it works.
Unreal,
works.
you know what I mean?
It works. It works.
It's like when it's sometimes it just you can get amazing results combining just the little spices and flavors from different things into in with your main thing that you're trying to do. And that's like I love that I like that analogy and I'll constantly go back to it, when we're talking about genres and combining stuff.
You can be a thrash band, but are you going to be just another thrash band, or are you going to be a thrash band that does something a little bit different to stand out, to show that we are going to stay true to the roots of what we do enjoy here, but man, as if you're not going to take a bit of outside influence and splash a bit of that on there.
100%. 100%.
I think certain genres were defined like many years ago. Like THRAXAS defined a certain number of years ago, and progressive metal was defined a certain number of years ago, and death metal was defined, and everything's been defined, right? That's why we know we have these things, right? So what we're producing now is like from this very fucking like moment forward is something brand new, and you can classify it as what you want, but it's up to you as an individual to classify it, and it's up to us as to sort of learn from our influences and provide from our influences to create new genres,
That's it.
Yeah, art is very subjective.
Always, and you talk about the time signature thing as well. Like, I mean, look at again another great example. I think when we're talking about time signature stuff, right? Money by Pink Floyd. Like if you just listen to the song and you don't really think about it, you don't immediately realize that main riff is like it's not like 4/4. It's like a 7/8 or whatever. It's a 7. It's a 7 count or something. 7/8 or 7, whatever they do it in. But then like it just feels like it flows and works so naturally that you don't kind of Like honestly, I'd listened to that song so
But
many times,
it
and then
became the new you.
yeah,
You
and
know
then it
what I
was
mean?
like then it was
the
pointed
new
out
you.
to me that it was in this,
But then it was
this
old. All of a sudden, it was
unusual.
old. So,
Yeah, but it was like pointed out to me that it was in
been
this
done.
unusual time signature, and I'm like, what, really? Then I actually listened to it. I'm like, holy shit, it actually is. So sometimes you got weird time signatures that don't even sound that weird.
I think we've got a few of them ourselves. I think as well, like they throw out some really bizarre like changes going into a whatever, and it's just like, man, I've got to do something to that, and I've got to somehow blend it from one time signature to the next, and it's sort of. But I think that's where the interesting stuff starts happening, when we can sort of like, I'll try and lay down a bunch of different feels to it, and we'll pick what feels the best. You know what I mean? So I'll put a thrashy feel to it, I'll put a groovy feel, and we'll sort of use what the music needs and what it wants to go to the next level. You know what I mean? And I think that's helped a lot to shape what we are and what we're producing and what we're bringing in.
Isaac, our drummer, is the drummer that you all want and need, and you don't even know it. He doesn't understand time signatures. He's not really great on tempo, but what he brings to our songs is phenomenal.
and that's the ironic part. That's the ironic part, is like we could sit down with him and we would tell him time signature, and he would just go, I don't know what you guys are talking about, but as soon as the music's in front of him, he can play it to no end. Yeah, he can literally just jump on anything, and that's probably the craziest part, is like, even for me, coming up through this road and having to tab out things and things in our head and what works, I had to really wrap my head around a lot of time signatures where, like, when you say it, they sound absurd, but when you just get into that rhythm and that feel, it just kind of feels natural to know how to progress to those next sections and what to work with. So even now, we have some songs in it where they're 11 whatever, and I can't even tell you the time signature. Yeah, I can't even tell you the time signature, but I can still remember how it goes and how exactly Isaac plays to it, what the bass does, what me and Alex do together, all right, and how to keep it in that time. And it's crazy. Like, it's all around. I feel when we mesh together, it doesn't even become like a forced feeling. It just meshes together so well that you kind of just get stuck in that trance of. Yes, it just happens. It literally just happens.
You get in that flow state and you just go, and that's the best feeling. That's the best feeling. Like, if anyone's watching or listening to this and you don't, like, you're not a sort of creative person, or you haven't really made music, I'm sure you got that thing in your life that once you get in the groove with it, you can just go, and it's just happening for you, you know. And that's what we're talking about here, you know. It's like you get into that, like we said, that flow state is exactly what it's called, and you're just not even thinking, and you're just moving from one thing to the next like it's nobody's business. And like, when that hits, it's such a good feeling. It's such a good feeling.
And then capturing that in a track to actually continue to play is the best feeling as well.
And that's the hard bit, though. That's the really, really challenging bit, is capturing the energy in the recording, because I can't tell you the amount of times I've seen absolutely killer bands playing at shows. Then I go and track down their recordings, and it sounds flat and uninspiring, and it hasn't captured the energy of what they do live on that recording. And I get it. Like, budgets are a thing. Budgets are absolutely a concern. And you go, when you're recording, you can't always access the most brilliant minds and the best studios to work on your stuff, and you get what you can with what you have. And that's great. But I think a little bit more care needs to be taken. And whether it's a matter of not putting enough in pre-production or what, like, I don't know what kind of and I don't know if there's a catch-all solution to the problem either. I think it's one of those things that the solution for different people is going to be different. But things like, you know, the difference between sitting down to record your parts in the studio versus standing up. When you stand up, you're going to have a different energy to the way you play it. Playing you know, playing the parts all individually and tracking them individually versus trying to play it in a group setting. You know, how does that affect the energy of the songs, right? And those little details can make a big difference to the end product. And I think a lot of people especially younger bands, get so focused on the idea of we just have to get something recorded and released. They don't take the time to make sure that that's the best it can be before they get it out there.
There's an interesting.
My biggest one was, sorry, my biggest one, like with recording, is I'm not too happy with that, but next time I'll do something about it next time. It won't be a problem, sort of thing. And it's like, take the time to sort it out then, and then it won't be that problem. Like there's stuff that we've released, and it's just like, I cringe at certain things that I've recorded that I just didn't. I should have just said, no, we should just do one more take. You know what I mean? But when you settle for that take and you're not happy, that's
So I was
make sure you
jump on
right at the time.
I was going to jump on
Constraints and
this like
budgets.
theme of how you record and how you want to present your music, right? So we look at Exodus. Exodus produced an album back in 19 something, Bonded by Blood, right? Which was an absolute banger. It's fucking such a great album. The songs are so good. Then they released an album in 2017, something around there. Let There Be Blood, where they re-recorded Bonded by Blood, and they did it properly. So where in original Bonded by Blood they were going for authentic, they started recording as a group, as like standing up, all this sort of stuff to bring the authenticity to the album. Right? And there's a lot of people that appreciate Bonded by Blood for that, right? But if you listen to Let There Be Blood, it's by far a definitive winner when it comes to quality, right? Because it's been it's kind of been pieced apart and then put together. So you've got this authenticity versus manufacturing, and I think for listening pleasure, manufacturing takes the next level, right? So what we've done with our album Violent Vacation is we've recorded individually. We haven't recorded in a sense that we're trying to produce anything that's raw, that's live. If you want to get the live version of what we do, you come and see it, right? But if you want to get the listening pleasure, you sit down, you listen to the album, because we recorded that shit like with an intent, for listening pleasure, know. So that's what I.
And I completely understand what you're saying and where you're coming from with your points there. I do. I guess my sort of thing I was talking about, it's more like almost an indefinable thing. It's like you just it's one of those tricky things. But I mean, look, I know the album that you're talking about, and I got to say, like, I mean, Exodus is just one of those bands that doesn't get the love they deserve, for starters.
100%.
Like, bands like Exodus, Testament, all those kind of bands that are
they're always that one that are a part of the big four that aren't a part of the big four.
Like,
that should be part of the big four, but they're not.
Yeah, like it's just the impact that those bands had on like metal is just, it's not considered the same way, unfortunately, but it should be, because they were all a part of that essential scene back in the day that just absolutely tore everything up. But yeah, so the other thing that we got to talk to you guys about, obviously, is you guys are part of WHISPERFEST, and we were just unfortunate things happened and stuff, and it's kind of taken us a bit longer to get you on than we'd hoped. But that's kind of the reason for the season, right? We're talking about WHISPERFEST and your guys' involvement there, coming up on Saturday, the 1st of March in Dubbo. So very, very well worth considering. If you haven't already got your tickets for it and you're thinking about it, scoop them up, take the family out, have a good old weekend out at Dubbo. It's a great town, plenty to do out there. See this show on the Saturday, go to the zoo on the Sunday, make a whole thing of it. It's a great fucking time out there. Great town, plenty to do and see. Obviously, along with Whisperhead, Deprivation, Anton Amasia, I think Slaughter Cult's on there, Inherent Nothing, and Seen Through Sleep. So that's quite the lineup on that one. Does that show forms part of the tour, I'm guessing?
No, it's actually a
No?
separate show. Yeah,
You guys are
yeah.
treating it as a separate thing. Okay, okay. Very nice. But you looking forward to getting out to Dubbo for that one?
Yeah, somewhere we've
yeah.
never been, and we're trying to I think for the album launch tour, we're trying to do a few more regional shows too, rather than just focusing on main cities. Because everyone's like, oh, you skip Perth, you skip Adelaide, that sort of stuff. Well, what about the regional guys too? I think it's important. They're not always going to want to drive 3 or 4 hours. Of Dubbo's like 4.5 hours. People aren't going to want to drive that far all the time. So I think it's important to give them some love and play shows out there as well.
It is. And look, that's how certain bands kind of got a lot of their credibility, right? Like they were out there constantly touring the regional areas, hitting a lot of those towns, and it's work. No one's saying it's not work. It's a lot of driving, and it's time and money and it's effort and it's hard work, but it's the kind of work that if you do it right and you get really lucky, it pays off. And for a lot of it, I look at as well. I'm like, I think if you're an Aussie band and you've been around for a while, like I'm not talking bands that are in their first few years or whatever. Like that's a different game, right? That's different. You're still establishing and sort of setting yourself out. But if you've been around for a while and you've established your local base, getting out to those areas is really important. And it will. It's not necessarily a shortcut because there are no shortcuts, but it will. No. It can really give you a name because more people in more places are talking about you. And I mean, I can remember getting around and playing like, I mean, Canberra's a bit more, not really a regional sort of thing, but like I can remember going to Canberra, going out to Orange, Dubbo, like Wollongong, getting out to some of those spots to play shows was always really, really fun. And, getting out, I mean, Christ, I think we even played a show in Warrnambool at one point as well. Like we went, we were doing a Melbourne, Adelaide kind of thing. And we're like, well, yep, let's tee something up, and we did Warrnambool as well on the way through. So like,
well, look at what some of the bands did on the way up to Broken Hill. Some of the bands did shows on the way up to Broken Hill.
Exactly. Yes. For Metal to the Max. Yep. People were doing regional shows along the way, going out to that, which is really cool. I think Red Hook and Stand Atlantic have just announced a fucking regional tour as well, which is crazy. Like for Stand Atlantic to come back and be to Australia and be doing something like that is just absolutely hectic. So yeah, like it's you got bands like, I mean, Parkway Drive's the obvious one that comes to mind.
Butterfly Effect, they get busy out in the regions.
That's another one. But a lot of Aussie bands really kind of put that work in those centres, and it's so important to do if you want to.
Important, man. It's so important. Like regionally, it's one of those sort of like you focus on the capital cities, you focus on going state, but there's regional connection, which is actually harder to do than to go to Brisbane, for example, come and see you guys, right? We can do that anytime,
Yeah.
But to go out to fucking like, Wangaratta or fucking Goulburn or like Dubbo or Albury, and I'm just quoting the places that I know, but it's a lot harder, but the importance of those tours is beyond understanding, I think, to connect with the regional Australians.
It is. It's super, super important.
Well, it's not like over here where you go into the city and it's like, oh, I can just go see THRAXAS in the next month or two that they're going to play in Sydney again.
I think that's the thing, though. We don't play Sydney, you know what I mean? Like, we're a Sydney band, but people say, oh, we get people saying, where are you guys from? We go, oh, we're a Sydney band. They're like, fuck, really? Okay, because we'll play a Western Australia show as soon as we'll play a fucking Sydney show, We'll go to Queensland as soon as we'll go to Leichhardt, And I think that's there's a thing in that. Like, we've done the Sydney shows. We've done a lot of Sydney shows. And that was, you know, in the past, like 6 years that I've been with the band, we've played a lot. We played all over Sydney. But we're not a Sydney band. We're an Australian band. And this is where the pressure now comes on us. We want to hit Port Macquarie. We want to go to fucking Kyogle, you know, outside of Nimbin. We want to go to like all these places where we know people are there, but we just can't get there, you know. But it's a slog. It's a real fucking
Money and
slog,
time.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Money and time, you know what I mean?
Yeah, sadly, in the late stage capitalist society that we live in, money and time are the biggest.
And then in order to get money, you got to waste time.
Yes.
Yeah,
100%.
You know, what's worth? You know, go and spend. I mean, you never make money in music anyway. Let's be real. Like,
Oh nah,
absolutely.
We say it here on the regular,
everyone else
man. If you
gets
wanted to
paid
make money
first,
doing
so-
music, you pick up a fucking USB stick.
Yeah. Exactly.
Or you go out and play, you know, you and a friend grab some acoustic guitars and go and play all the classic rock covers at the pub.
Yeah, I was
every
just
weekend.
about to say tribute band. I didn't say it first.
Cover bands, 100%.
Yeah.
You don't need to say it.
Go play
Everybody
Stetson's Girl
knows.
at Wembley.
Yeah, it's a sad reality, and unfortunately, you know, the fact that more people would be, you know, more people want to go down to the pub every weekend and hear a subpar cover of K-San than actually find, you know, new and not that Barnsey wasn't onto something with the song, but like, you know, interesting music that is going to inspire them in a whole new way.
Oh, look, man, Metalhead's are culprits for it too. I mean, look, they just announced the next. So our good friends from they played in Sydney. Damn it, and they had the glow sticks.
Last Martyr.
The Last Martyr are playing in Sydney again. They're doing, but it's once again the headliners are cover bands.
Yeah,
but they're doing the supergroup. They're doing the supergroup thing, and there's two local bands before them. But look, as much as it pains us to say it, we're caught like a lot.
But the thing is, I think there's that's a kind of a different scenario. I think though, because you've got original bands, you got original bands on as a part of that event as well. You know, with I think
it's a very fucking mixed scene, man. When you start to introduce cover songs or cover bands with original bands or a single band that plays covers and originals, that's where it gets very fluffy. I don't know.
I think as long as the pay is distributed fairly and evenly between everyone, and you're not paying like the cover band or tribute band a shitload more than the original bands on the show, I think that's important.
Well, we know the cover band's going to get paid more because they're playing songs that are tried and tested, right? If you can play fucking Satisfaction by the Rolling Stones, you're going to get paid better than playing Seven-Sided Strike by THRAXAS, which is an original song, right? Right? Like,
yeah,
you know, but,
Or
but the whole thing is about
just reminds me of
you know, whether you can do that or not.
The Blues Brothers when they walk into that country bar and they just play roll hard over and over again. Yeah, you know, it's like that's all they want to hear. Let's just fucking do it.
Yeah. And look, I mean, obviously, as someone who's played in done some tribute sets in my time, you know, there's an element of fun to it as an occasional thing. I don't think I could do it as or everyday thing, but there is an element of fun to it, to you know, some of the time.
I think for sure there is. I mean, they're playing songs that have gripped, you know, people worldwide. I mean, I was in a cover band. I was playing all like Iron Maiden, Metallica, Megadeth. I mean, like Slayer. Like, you cannot go wrong because those songs have made it already, and the amount of satisfaction you get from playing songs that have made it already.
Yeah.
You know, and audience satisfaction is huge because they're like, oh, fucking banger, you know. But there's something about original music that is beyond.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't even. This is why I say you can't be a cover band and play originals. You can't be an original band that play covers because there's a world of difference between the two. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's someone actually made a great point to me one time, and many years ago, and I can't quite remember who it was, but they basically said that if you're playing in a cover band, or more specifically a tribute band, the crowd doesn't even hear you playing the songs. They hear the start of the song, they recognize what song it is, and then in their head, they're just hearing the original. They're just listening to the original in their head as you play it. That's what they're doing, and then that's what they're cheering for. They're
100%.
cheering for the original rather than for you.
Yeah,
and I get
not
it.
me. I'm listening. And if you fuck it up, I know.
Yeah. That's it. You can't get it wrong.
So, what sort of so let's talk a little bit and go back and talk about the new album that's coming out. So is there any sort of cohesive message or sort of statement being made across the whole album? Is there like a variety of topics that are covered? What can you tell us about the meaning and the message behind this album that people can expect to hear from it?
So really, it's basically like a lot of varieties that are being covered. There's just interesting plot, like topics that we talk about. There are some kind of life experiences in there, things we've kind of experienced as well. And just pretty much things like that. Anything that's kind of interesting beyond the point of like, I feel metal is very stale now because they kind of just talk a lot about like, it's the same old trope. It's Satanism and there's like death, which is a big thing. And like, I feel like there's a lot more interesting plot points to kind of talk about in those songs where like one of our songs is about basically just torture methods and how people are used to be tortured and things like that. Right. And there are very, very, it sounds surreal, but these are like very real things that people have lived through and like experienced. And it's kind of crazy. Like we live these lives where we may not have to experience that, but some other people did. And some other people did have to experience these things. So it's kind of, I don't know, like it's just an interesting topic to think about. Like these people have gone through all these horrific things and like, that's just one song, for example. Right. And there's like songs about cults and things like that where, people can be so brainwashed and they're kind of just ordered to do these things. And it's just like a subconscious thing that your body's just been kind of put through that you don't even think is right or wrong. And you just kind of do it. And it's kind of like a surreal experience, I would imagine. There's things about rage where kind of like rage is a big decider in things in life. Like, like people all encounter anger, they encounter rage, but like what you do with it kind of depends on you as a person. And like, some people are quick to shrug it off. Other people just hold on to it like a grudge and, you can land in prison for life for things that you do. And it's crazy because you think about things that can just be kind of done at the drop of a hat. And then all of a sudden you wake up and there's just, you have life in prison because of a one mistake that you kind of made. And like, I know I've made mistakes in my life and I've woken up and wished that like I may not have caused them, but then me being a person, I have to learn to grow from those mistakes. And like you move on, but you still, I find evolution as a human is if you can learn from your mistakes and continue on and not make those mistakes. And there are some of the things that I've written about, especially, some things that I may have done in the past. And then, you just learn to kind of, you do them and you realize it's a mistake and it's not something you can ever take back, but you move on with it. But how it's not about how you started, it's how you finish. And big things like that, just really trying to get into like, what's the word? It's like a social commentary on life. That's what I've always felt the lyrics were like. The lyrics are always mainly about rather than just kind of things that, fantasy. Not that we don't have things about fantasy, but really like what happens around us, what affects us, what drives people to do things that they do. It's basically like psychology, essentially, and basically like another word for it.
It's an album of psychology,
just tapping into the psyche of the human mind, and like what.
Very much so. There's something for everyone, I think.
Yeah,
I think that's why we called it Violent Vacation as well. Like Bull was saying, I think every song has a totally unique topic, which I think is cool because sometimes I feel that thrash bands they just sit on like topics of politics and that sort of thing and
ideas and ideals.
Yeah, whereas this thing is literally a fucking ride, start to finish. And I think the title represents that as well.
Because violent vacation, it's brutal.
Yeah.
It's everything that you could imagine, from being in prison and alone to being responsible for free thought to being. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. It's
because I find a lot of the lyrics I write, I'm very apolitical in the sense that I kind of don't really care about the fucking government. I don't care. Like, it's just, no matter which side you vote for or who you plead for, like, it doesn't really, at the end of the day, does it really matter? Like, we're kind of all in this together. And, you know, I find people, they divide themselves between this. And they're like, if you're with this party, I'm not with you on this party. But I'm like, dude, we're all kind of in this ride together. Like, you know what I mean? Where, unless you're at those echelons of, like, those tiers of power, do we really have a say? Like,
and that's the one thing that we won't ever cater to, is those tiers of power. We're always going to stand up for the people below the tiers of power.
Because it's like when I think of politics, it's
so many
like
people are having experiences.
It's not
all over the world.
It's not a left versus right thing. It's a rich versus poor thing. Is what it is.
It is, and that's why it's always fucking
because we're all normal people. We all live normal lives and things like that. And, like, you know, we're just like working class people essentially, and we just like to talk from those experiences of, like, what we've dealt with, where people would view me a certain way, where I get looked at because, you know, the way I'm tattooed and things like that, and, like, you know, me trying to hold a government job, I'd be laughed at. I have a full throat tattoo and, like, I have my head tattooed, so, you know, like, but then at the end of the day, I've met people in that same regards where, no, it's that ideology where they see me and then they go, oh, wow, they go, you're actually, like, the loveliest person we've kind of ever met. We've had people who have, you know, like, normal people, like, who don't fit into a stereotype or a profile, and they go, wow, you're so much nicer than these people. And it's all subjective to the person. And that's
just because the mold looks different doesn't mean the insides aren't the same as what everything else is going on.
100%, 100%. And that's kind of like what we like to sing about, is like, we talk about and things like that. It's like, you know, I've had it with multiple people where I've had old lovely old ladies, and I've gone to help them with something, and they're, like, mortified because they're like, oh wow, like, you know, you're not someone I would talk to crossing the road, or I would cross the street to not deal with you, sort of thing. But they're like, you've completely changed my mind on, like, you know, you can look a certain way or a certain part, but still be a good person, a good human being. And I
think this is where our lyrics talk to everyone. I think every song, if you actually, like, break it down, there's a lot of connection and you know, authenticity, realness. We're telling people stories about where we've been and where other people have been and why we've been there. And too much.
Okay. That's cool. I dig it.
There's nothing worse than, but like you said before, there's nothing worse than these rich people sitting here telling all us poor people, it's like, the reason why you are unhappy is because of this, this, and this. It's like, while they're counting their dollars at the expense of your unhappiness.
Yes.
Listen, man, what I think is magical about our writing and our lyrical writing and our music is that rich people and those that we consider to be up on a pedestal will be able to listen to our music and get something from it as well. They'll be able to draw their fucking observation on our music and say, oh, you know, all power to us, you know. But we're not. We're talking about revolution, and whether that's a powerful revolution or a more lower class revolution, we're talking about change. And I think that's the most important thing, is that everybody can listen to our music and experience something for themselves in relation to the change that they envision in their life, and the power that they can draw from that change and becoming more of themselves.
Amazing. All right, well, just before we wrap this up, I want to play a quick game about the new album. What I want to do is, if you are a fan of blank, you should listen to this new THRAXAS album. So, like, what if people like X band, they're probably going to like the new THRAXAS album. So, and you obviously can't just say THRAXAS in there. That's cheating, okay? That one's off the table. But like, if you had to sort of name a band that you think fans of that band would like the album, what would you say? If you're a fan of
Lamb of God, then you would love this album.
You're not allowed to take my one. That's what I was thinking.
I got in before you.
All right, I'm going to jump in. If you're a fan of Annihilator, you should listen to THRAXAS.
Oh,
that's a good one,
you
Dan.
motherfucker!
That's a good one, Dan.
He took mine, you bastard!
It's all there. It's all there.
What? I can't think of any other one apart from Lamb of God.
Hey, I mean that just goes to show how well. Yes, what do you want? Sorry, my cat's just like barged into the fucking room, like pushed the fucking door open. Yes, no, Daddy's working.
I can say, if you're a fan of Darkane, Soilwork, The Haunted, Opeth.
Oh my god!
Okay,
Yeah.
That's more than one, brother.
Okay.
I was gonna say Opeth.
Okay.
That's what I've been. A blend, like you were saying before, like ingredients. My style of drumming isn't just like thrash or whatever. It's all of my favorite artists blended into sort of my style.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Well, I think that gives people a good.
Same thing.
Awesome. That gives people a good taste of what they should expect. Then I think that's really, really good. I'm loving that. I'm really, really loving that. All right. Well, look, we will wrap up the podcast there. We are going to have Quick Question Quarter and Get in the Bin coming on the weekend, so make sure you check those out on the YouTube channel. If you like this video, give it a like. If you didn't, downvote it. That's what the button's there for. We are going to have link in the description for the tickets to WHISPERFEST. So if you haven't got them yet, go and get them. By the time this episode comes out, there will not be much time left. So get your tickets, book your holiday out to
You won't be disappointed.
You won't be disappointed.
It'll be an absolute fucking time.
THRAXAS,
baby.
THRAXAS. And we will have links to all of THRAXAS' socials down in the description. So if you're interested in following them, keeping up with what they're doing, and keeping tabs on that tour that's coming up and the album Violent Vacation coming out, and as we said, by the time this episode drops, the artwork will be out there. So go and fucking check that out, because I have no doubt it's going to be an absolute ripper. But we are going to wrap that up. So massive, massive thank you for Alex, Bull, Dan, and Isaac for joining us for the podcast there. As we said, we'll have the extra ones coming on the weekend. Thank you to my co-host, Kyle.
Thank you, sirs.
I have been the Reverend Raff. Thank you, everybody, for watching. You guys have been amazing if you've watched this far.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.
Oh, yeah. Woo, take it easy, guys.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. We really hope you had a good time. If you did, please consider hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell down there. It helps the channel grow. We are still a fairly young channel, and we like to try and grow our audience all over the world. We do also, for those of you who are interested, have a Patreon. It's just a couple of bucks a month. At the moment, you get all the videos early and ad-free, but we are working on ways to increase the value of that and make it a bit more enticing. So don't forget to keep an eye out and check back on what's going on over there. Other than that, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day.